a girl named Mitsuha Yamano falls off a cliff. When she wakes up, she finds herself in an open field and tries to remember what happened. She recalls being pushed off the cliff and remembers losing her parents and brother in an accident. She wonders if she might have died, but thinking about what her otaku brother would say, she realizes she can't be dead, since she can still feel hunger and pain. She concludes she must be in another world. There's nothing around her, so she walks for days until she eventually comes across a girl named Colette. Colette takes her in, but they speak different languages that Mitsuha doesn't understand. Despite this, Mitsuha manages to introduce herself, and Colette is overjoyed to learn her name. The next morning, Mitsuha wakes up completely healed. She looks around and realizes this world is less advanced. Colette worries about her, but Mitsuha shows that she is already better. She goes with Colette to help her with foraging, and as they gather plants, she thinks that this must be how her brother felt, wanting to protect his little sister no matter what. Suddenly, wolves appear, and Mitsuha helps Colette climb a tree for safety. She leads the wolves away, but trips, and as a wolf lunges at her, she suddenly teleports and ends up back in her house in Japan. Seeing the rock she brought with her, Mitsuha realizes it wasn't a dream. She quickly grabs some weapons, including her brother's slingshot and a pocket knife. Mitsuha thinks about whether she should go back, but remembering Colette, she decides to return. Using the slingshot, she gets the wolves' attention and blinds one with pepper spices, finishing it off with her knife. The other wolves run away, but Mitsuha faints. She finds herself floating in a strange place and meets a lucky cat statue. The statue explains that it is borrowing this form to talk to her, and is actually an advanced life form made of pure energy that looks for entertainment. It tells Mitsuha she absorbed some of its power while falling off the cliff and decides to let her keep the powers. It explains that she now has the ability to travel between worlds as long as she can imagine the exact destination. She also has accelerated healing. Seeing her as entertainment, the entity asks if she wants anything else. Mitsuha asks for the ability to understand all languages, which the cat grants before leaving. When Mitsuha wakes up, she is back at Colette's house and can now understand her. She thanks Colette for patching her up, and Colette is surprised to hear her speaking. Mitsuha pretends she regained her memory. Colette's father thanks her for protecting his daughter and gives her some gold for killing the wolf. Thinking about her situation, Mitsuha wonders how her brother would use her powers. Although her parents left her an inheritance, is not enough to live comfortably. Realizing this world is less developed, she thinks about making money by bringing goods from Earth and selling them here. She also worries her ability might disappear one day, so she decides she needs to save enough money to retire in both worlds. Mitsuha calculates that she would need 2 billion yen, 1 billion yen for each world to live comfortably. She starts planning what items to sell, like matches, lighters, and air fresheners. While talking to some men in the village, Mitsuha learns about the local lord and the king. She decides to head to the capital city, but promises Colette that she will come back. The next morning, she takes a carriage to the lord's town, planning to gain his support before moving to the capital. During the journey, she realizes she stinks since she hasn't bathed. She asks the driver to stop, and when no one is around, she teleports back to her house in Japan. After taking a shower, Mitsuha converts her assets to cash and does some research online. Her new language ability allows her to understand foreign websites. She looks up private security companies and finds one called Wolf's Fang. Using Google Maps, she teleports to the company's compound in South America, pays off a guard, and meets the company leader. She shows him gold from the other world, which he appraises at $200 per piece. Mitsuha calculates that she would need to save 80,000 gold pieces to achieve her goal. They make a deal, and Mitsuha buys guns and gets shooting training for self-defense. She does more research on what products to sell, prepares some jewelry, and even orders a custom outfit. With everything ready, she teleports back to the other world. Arriving at the Lord's residence, Mitsuha is turned away by the guards because she doesn't have an appointment. She notices a passing carriage and learns it carries the Lord's sons. Mitsuha comes up with a plan. teleporting ahead of the carriage and lighting firecrackers to startle the horses. When the carriage stops, she pretends to have been hit and is taken in by the worried sons. Mitsuha meets the Lord, Klaus, who apologizes for the accident. She introduces herself as a noble from a distant country called Japan. Seeing her fine outfit, Klaus believes her story. Mitsuha explains she was attacked by a beast and separated from her companions, but was saved by the townspeople. To show her gratitude, she gives Klaus a Swiss army knife, which fascinates him. Klaus invites her to stay the night, but Mitsuha says she has no money. Klaus finds this odd, as the knife she gave him is worth 12 gold pieces. Later during dinner, Mitsuha meets Klaus' wife, Iris, their sons, Alexis and Theo, and their daughter, Beatrice. The food isn't great despite their noble status, but Mitsuha eats it politely. Klaus questions her identity, and Mitsuha claims she fled her country after her parents' deaths to avoid a succession dispute. She offers to trade a pearl necklace for gold, shocking Iris, who reveals that pearls are extremely rare, and the necklace could be a national treasure. Klaus worries about its value, but Mitsuha insists she only needs enough gold to start a shop. She tells a sob story, saying Iris reminds her of her own mother, which moves them. Theo shows interest in her Swiss knife, and Mitsuha sells him a foldable knife for 1 gold, which is much more than she paid for it. Beatrice asks what kind of shop Mitsuha plans to open, and she replies that she will sell cosmetics, accessories, and food. Klaus mentions declining crop yields, and Mitsuha surprises him with her knowledge of crop rotation, which she learned from her brother. Mitsuha continues discussing her plans to make money, enjoying her time with the family. She starts tearing up, thinking about her family, and Klaus comforts her. Despite her tears, Mitsuha sets off the next day with money and support from Lord Klaus. He sends his servants to accompany her, and she heads for the royal capital, excited about her journey ahead. Mitsuha arrives at the capital and, thanks to the Lord's letter of recommendation, finds a place for her shop. She fills the store with cheap convenience store items and also includes a rotating selection of luxury items. She officially opens her shop, but as the day goes by, she doesn't get any customers. She tries to stay positive, but on the second day, still no one visits, making her very worried. Finally, some girls visit her shop. Mitsuha tears up with relief. The girls look around the store and get curious about an item. Mitsuha explains that it's a tool used for removing fish scales while cooking fish. The girls are shocked to hear this. They look at some of the other items, but in the end leave without buying anything. Mitsuha starts panicking, but one of the girls notices some shampoo. Mitsuha explains it's a magical elixir that cleans and hydrates the damaged hair. Considering its price of 8 silver coins, they decide not to buy it. Mitsuha runs after them, offering a free sample. The girls hesitate but say they want food instead. Not knowing when she will have more customers, Mitsuha offers them free food as well, begging them to stay. The girls reluctantly agree, and Mitsuha thanks them while crying. Mitsuha starts by taking one of the girls to the shower, making her friends worried. However, the girl soon enjoys the hot shower. Mitsuha washes her hair with the shampoo and gives her some body wash too. When the girl dries her hair, her friends are amazed, thinking the hairdryer is some kind of magic. The girl's hair becomes soft and smooth, and they are all impressed. They buy both the shampoo and body wash, and Mitsuha even manages to sell a brooch. One of the girls' stomach growls, so Mitsuha starts preparing some food. The girls are surprised to see fire without wood and think Mitsuha might be a witch. Mitsuha returns with some soup. The girls are amazed by the flavor, though it's just instant soup. Then Mitsuha serves some fish, which shocks the girls. Mitsuha wonders if she did something wrong, but they enjoy it anyway. She continues serving dish after dish, and the girls find everything amazing. As a parting gift, Mitsuha gives them some chocolate to share with their colleagues. The girls leave, and Mitsuha feels happy to have finally made her first sale. She hopes the girls will spread the word about her shop. However, the girls are worried, thinking Mitsuha might be a witch, and decide to share the chocolate as she instructed. The girls give the chocolate to Marcel, the head chef of their house. They watch nervously as he tastes it. Marcel is impressed by the rich flavor and asks where they got it. Just then, the lady of the house enters. The girls explain everything that happened. The lady buys the shampoo from them to try herself. Marcel asks the girls about eating fish, and they confirm they had fresh fish. The Lord is confused because the closest fishing village is 10 days away by wagon, making it impossible to bring fresh fish to the capital. The Lord decides to send Marcel to investigate Mitsuha's shop. The next day, Marcel visits Mitsuha's shop. He finds the fish scaler interesting and picks out several items. While paying, he asks why she sells a fish scaler, explaining that there's no fish in the capital. Mitsuha realizes her mistake and understands why the girls were so surprised earlier. Marcel asks if he can buy fish from her, explaining that he is the chef for the Rainer house. He became the head chef after the previous head chef fell ill. Now he is responsible for catering the upcoming debutante ball for Miss Adelaide, the daughter of the Rainer family. This ball is a coming-of-age event where Adelaide will be introduced to high society. The Rainer family is a relatively new, noble house, so they are not as well respected by other nobles. Marcel feels nervous about catering for such an important event, but thinks that serving fish, which no one else can get, could impress everyone. Mitsuha considers what to do and feels that she should help him. She offers a consultation service, saying she can solve all kinds of problems. Mitsuha eagerly awaits her new customers, hoping to strike a lucrative deal. Upon their arrival, she warmly greets them and quickly assesses that this dinner will be entirely informal, giving her an excellent chance to impress them with her cooking skills. Determined to win them over, Mitsuha decides to focus on dazzling them with a food tasting, confident that this will secure her the business contract for the debutante party of Miss Adelaide, the daughter of Viscount Rainer. She ushers the guests inside and begins preparing the dishes. When she serves the first dish, just one bite sends the guests into a euphoric journey of flavor. One of the guests asks for the recipe, but Mitsuha tactfully explains that the chef responsible for the dishes is a friend of hers, and she had promised only to sample the dishes, not share the recipes. The Viscount's chef, who is among the guests, inquires how they might learn to recreate these dishes. Mitsuha offers to guide them, smoothly steering the conversation toward business. By the end of the evening, the debutante party contract is firmly in her hands. The Lord then asks how she managed to bring such fresh fish to their country, where fresh fish is notoriously scarce. Mitsuha confidently explains that her store specializes in sourcing and safely transporting rare ingredients. She assures them that her services are available, provided they are willing to cover the necessary expenses. The Lord agrees and proposes a contract for Mitsuha's services, but she declines. Instead, she expresses that her cooking and cuisine alone won't suffice. She insists on taking charge of their daughter's dress and performance as well, assuring the parents that she will provide their daughter with the finest services. Impressed by her confidence, the Lord and his wife agree. As they prepare to leave, the chef requests the leftover food so he can taste it at home and better understand the cuisine. While bidding them farewell, the Lord's wife asks Mitsuha if she can sell her the body wash and shampoo she uses. Seizing the opportunity, Mitsuha raises the prices and convinces the woman to buy the products at a premium, earning herself some easy money. The next day, Mitsuha begins teaching the Viscount's chefs how to prepare the rare dishes and cuisines. She supervises their efforts and feels delighted when they start calling her coach in the kitchen. Next, Mitsuha focuses on finding the perfect outfit for Adelaide. She takes the Lord's daughter upstairs and transports them to another location, a high-end boutique. The shop owner becomes ecstatic upon seeing Adelaide and immediately pulls her inside to take measurements. After some time, the designer emerges with sketches specially created for Adelaide. Mitsuha carefully reviews them and selects the final dress, ensuring it is perfect for the occasion. Adelaide excitedly expresses her desire to have the best debut ever, and Mitsuha feels thrilled to see her so enthusiastic. Mitsuha ensures that every detail of the party, including the costumes, stage setup, and performance background, is perfect. Finally, the day of the debut party arrives. Lord Viscount warmly greets the guests, and when the curtains drop, they are amazed by the artificial smoke Mitsuha created. Using modern technology, Mitsuha crafts an eye-catching stage, adding to the mystique. She then uses a microphone to address the guests, leaving them puzzled about the source of her voice. She announced Adelaide's grand entrance, and the young girl steps onto the stage in an angelic white dress that captivates everyone. Adelaide twirls gracefully and delivers her rehearsed lines, charming the audience with her cuteness. She then rushes backstage to change outfits, while Mitsuha quickly adjusts the stage background. This time, Adelaide returns dressed as a knight, giving a bold and impressive performance. The audience is thoroughly enchanted, with many guests rushing to speak with Adelaide. The next highlight of the evening is the cuisine. When the food is served, the guests are astonished to see fresh fish on the menu. A skeptical guest hesitantly tries the sushi and is blown away by its flavor, prompting everyone to eagerly fill their plates with the delicacies and rare dishes. Unbeknownst to Mitsuha, Iris is among the guests. She sneaks up behind Mitsuha and expresses her worry about her, then drags her to her table to sit together. As the party progresses smoothly, a chef informs Mitsuha that the food supply is running out. Alarmed, Mitsuha asks how this happened since they had prepared sufficient quantities. Realizing the guests are eating far more than expected due to the food's deliciousness, she quickly excuses herself and rushes to the kitchen. Inside, she finds the staff exhausted from overwork, with hardly any ingredients left. Spotting unused potatoes in the corner, Mitsuha devises a plan and decides to use them for the next dish. Mitsuha quickly alerts everyone in the kitchen, rallying them to peel and fry the remaining potatoes to make French fries as a last resort. At the same time, she directs the chefs to assist her in preparing desserts, turning the chaotic situation around with swift action. When the desserts are served, the guests are in awe at the sight of the exquisite delicacies presented before them. The sweets are an instant hit, with everyone savoring them enthusiastically. Afterward, Mitsuha introduces the French fries as her final move. The simple yet perfectly executed dish surprises the guests, leaving a lasting impression. Mitsuha's strategy proves so effective that even the nobles who were searching for an excuse to insult the Viscount are silenced by the unmatchable quality of the exotic cuisines. Feeling triumphant, Mitsuha basks in the success of Adelaide's debut party. In her eyes, this banquet will forever be remembered as a showcase of Yamano cuisine. After Mitsuha successfully pulled off Adelaide's party, her customer and sales skyrocketed to an even higher level. She earned 260 gold from Adelaide's party, equivalent to 26,000 yen, and Mitsuha was very happy about the hefty profit she made from the contract. While still enjoying her moment of happiness, a customer entered her shop and she greeted him. However, in the middle of her greeting, the customer rudely demanded that she sell him some fish. Mitsuha quickly sensed that the man was a rude customer and refused to say anything about fish. She told him that this was a general store and that she didn't sell fish there. The man, however, tried to threaten her, but she quickly realized that he was not a nobleman, so she wasn't afraid to say no. It turned out that the man was a head chef at a baron's house, and his lord had been complaining about his food, demanding to taste the different cuisines he had tried at a previous party. Mitsuha quickly understood that the man was referring to the food from Adelaide's party, and told him about her contract services. The man, frustrated, was about to hit Mitsuha when Ilya entered the shop. Upon seeing a noblewoman walking towards them, the man scurried away from Mitsuha. Ilya approached Mitsuha and asked why she hadn't visited her. She tells Ilya that she has been very busy lately. Taking advantage of Ilya's presence, she complains about the man to her. Ilya scares the man away and forcefully takes Mitsuha back to her residence. At the residence, Mitsuha meets Beatrice, who happily greets her. Alex, who is accompanying Beatrice, tells her about the grand debut party of Lady Adelaide. Beatrice becomes upset upon learning that she wasn't invited to the party. Alex reveals that Mitsuha was the one who organized the entire party, and Beatrice expresses her desire to have a grand debutante party for herself as well. Mitsuha agrees, knowing that organizing Beatrice's debut party would bring her a huge profit. Ilya, visibly annoyed, asks Mitsuha to accompany her to the dining table, where she plans to have a long talk with her about the matter. At the dining table, Ilya's father asks Mitsuha about their business discussions. She begins explaining her business ideas and their conversation back at the party. They ask Mitsuha how she managed to bring the ingredients and food from her home country at that time. Mitsuha quickly thinks of an excuse and tells them that her friend back in her hometown sent all the food items via small ferries, which transported the goods to their country as quickly as possible. Her excuse was somewhat accepted by the family, and she felt relieved knowing her excuse wasn't further questioned. Alex also tried to make a lame confession to her, but she simply laughed and ignored him. At night, as Mitsuha was about to sleep, Beatrice visited her. Mitsuha was confused about why Beatrice wanted to talk to her, and her only guesses were whether Beatrice was not getting along well with her parents, needed advice about her love life, or, wildest of all, was in love with her. All of her wild guesses turned out to be wrong when Beatrice requested that Mitsuha organize her future debutante party. Mitsuha was shocked by the request since the debut party was still 2 years away, and Beatrice was as excited as if the party were just a few days away. Beatrice asked Mitsuha what kind of theme she would choose for her party, and Mitsuha explained that she would have a ball with a carriage entry, an animal parade, and an exquisite banquet. This lit up Beatrice, who happily jumped around upon hearing about the amazing party. Mitsuha pointed out that this debut party was very important for noblewomen, a realization she had after her interaction with Miss Adelaide. Beatrice then explained that noblewomen mature much earlier than others and often get engaged at the age of 10. Mitsuha was still trying to understand the concept when Beatrice asked her about her dating experience. Mitsuha told her that she had been very popular with guys, and they had invited her out multiple times for different hobbies. Beatrice interrupted her and quickly figured out that Mitsuha had never actually dated anyone in her whole life. Mitsuha felt embarrassed, but admitted that she had never dated any boy. Beatrice pressed further, asking Mitsuha about her ideal man. Mitsuha began to think about it. Suddenly, Beatrice looked away, and Mitsuha quickly understood that Beatrice was hiding something. She forced Beatrice to spill the truth. Mitsuha found the question notes hidden in Beatrice's clothes and scared her by saying that her debutante ball was over. Beatrice quickly uncovered the truth and revealed that the questions were from her brother Alex, Theo, and her father, who promised to give her gold for each question. Mitsuha seized the opportunity and made a deal with Beatrice to pay her gold for the answers as well. Beatrice laughed and complimented Mitsuha for not being an easy girl who gives away her information so easily. The next day, Mitsuha waited in her shop for customers, but was disappointed since it was a rainy day and there wouldn't be any customers today. She suddenly got an amazing idea to sell umbrellas to boost her sales. The bell of her shop rang, and Mitsuha saw a suspicious man entering with a sword. She checked her defense gun and knife, and felt at ease when she saw that the other man didn't stand a chance against her. The door of the shop opened once again, and a woman entered with a sword, demanding that the suspect come out. She easily disarmed the man, who picked up Mitsuha's knife from her store and tried to take her hostage. The woman quickly sprayed pepper spray in his eyes, causing the man to run away, followed by the armed girl. Mitsuha noticed that her knife was still in the man's hand, so she ran after him as well. She was stopped by the mercenary girl, who prevented Mitsuha from following the suspect any further. Mitsuha watched as the entire group of mercenaries worked together and easily caught the suspect. Impressed, Mitsuha asked them about their business. They told her that they took on jobs as long as they abided by the laws and regulations. Mitsuha then came up with another wild idea and asked if they would be interested in doing a quest for her. Mitsuha invites the group to her store and serves them green tea. At first, the group is a bit suspicious of the tea, but in the end, they drink it. The group introduces themselves, Sven as their leader, Sepp as their spearman, Grit as their swordswoman, and Ilsa as their archer. Mitsuha happily greets them, and Sven asks her what mission she wants to assign them. Mitsuha explains that she would like to accompany them on their next mission and hunt so she can closely study what type of items she can stock in her store that would be useful for mercenary groups. The group discusses the mission and agrees to take her with them on their hunt. For the mission, Mitsuha buys a lot of supplies and packs her bag for the trip. The next day, Mitsuha waits for the group at the town's entrance. The group is surprised to see Mitsuha dressed in modern clothes and carrying a backpack. The group continues their journey and stops at a point to set up their base camp. Mitsuha asks Sven about their business condition, and he tells her that business has been down lately, and it's thanks to her that they were able to get a job in these tough times. The group then decides to dig up some herbs and valuable plants to sell at the market. Mitsuha decides to go with Grit in search of yams, but unfortunately, she is unable to find any. Once they're done with the digging, the group sets up their resting place. Mitsuha takes the opportunity to take out her portable tent. The group is surprised when she quickly sets up the tent and makes her bed inside. After the camp is set, Grit and Ilsa try to make soup with bitter leaves and herbs. They try to light the leaves using the stone technique, but because the grass is damp, the fire won't start for their cooking. Mitsuha takes the opportunity to use her modern ignition lighter to start the fire. She then uses her food packages to prepare a full dinner for the group. As she observes, she takes notes on items that could be useful to the group and other mercenaries. The group tells her that she could make a great profit selling these items to noble families, but Mitsuha replies that she plans to sell them to military groups and mercenaries at a lower price to help them. The group is moved by her kind gesture. Mitsuha excuses herself to change into her swimsuit inside the tent and heads out to take a bath. However, the group is startled when she suddenly enters the area naked. The girls scold Mitsuha for being careless and walking out like that. The next day, the group goes animal hunting. Mitsuha shows off her crossbow skills and successfully hunts a bird. The group praises her abilities and they decide to wrap up the hunt and head back to the capital. Mitsuha suddenly feels the need to take a break and heads into the forest. However, she is soon
I'm supposed to be the hunter, not this.
chased by a boar. She quickly uses her rifle to kill the boar, making it look like she used her crossbow to do so. The group realizes the kill wasn't done with a crossbow, but decides not to question it further. The group earns a nice profit and celebrates the success of the mission with Mitsuha. During dinner, Mitsuha pulls out a swimsuit magazine and shows it to the group to clear up any misunderstanding, explaining that wearing swimsuits is normal in her hometown. Sep asks Mitsuha how much she would charge to sell him the book, but Grit quickly hits him with a pan to stop his perverted thoughts. Mitsuha returns to her store and starts brainstorming ideas for new products to add to her inventory. She briefly considers selling the swimsuit magazine, but feels uneasy about it, so she decides to try something else, selling carved sculptures. Inspired, she transports herself to a rocky mountain, placing her hand on the wall. She imagines the sculpture she wants to create and then transports it into her room. However, the result isn't what she expected. The sculpture looks more like a disheveled monster than an elegant work of art. Disappointed with her creation, Mitsuha still decides to display the figures in her store, hoping someone might appreciate her effort. To her surprise, a customer enters and asks about the price of one of the sculptures. Mitsuha, seizing the opportunity, sells it to him at a higher price, though she can't shake the feeling of dissatisfaction. Her statues, labeled as monster figures, just don't feel like the artistic masterpieces she had hoped for. Mitsuha is happily celebrating her high sales of shampoo when the door to her shop opens and a noble girl enters. The girl has the air of a rich princess, and Mitsuha is immediately swooned by her cuteness. The girl picks out a bulk of stuffed toys and shampoo, paying for everything with gold coins. Mitsuha quickly assesses that this girl must be incredibly wealthy, given how effortlessly she pays in gold. After the girl leaves, Mitsuha notices a strange man following her. Sensing trouble, she quickly grabs her defense bag and heads out to confront the situation. As expected, the man attempts to abduct the noble girl. Mitsuha springs into action just in time. She introduces herself as the Lightning Messenger and uses her taser gun to electrocute one of the abductors. Drawing her rifle, she scares off the remaining criminals, who try to resist but are quickly surrounded by the royal guards. Mitsuha soon learns that the noble girl is actually the princess of the town. She tries to slip away from the situation, but she's caught and invited to the castle. The king expresses his deep gratitude, thanking Mitsuha for saving his daughter and offering his appreciation for her bravery. The girl introduces herself as Sabine and asks her father, the king, if she can visit Mitsuha's store more often. The king agrees, asking Mitsuha to take care of his children. They have a casual meeting, and Mitsuha uses the opportunity to discuss business. She asks the king about his eyesight, and he explains that he has weak vision and uses lenses for reading. Mitsuha dramatically pulls out a pair of glasses from her bag and presents them to the king. The king tries on the glasses and is amazed at how clearly he can see. He's astonished, as the lenses he had been using were very heavy and uncomfortable. He immediately offers the glasses to his chancellor, who also becomes impressed with the product. The king pays Mitsuha generously for the glasses. After Mitsuha leaves the castle, the king instructs his chancellor to look into Mitsuha's background. The next day, while Mitsuha is managing her shop, she is visited by the president of Adler Trading Company. He demands that she hand over her shop to him, presenting an agreement. He threatens her, saying that if she doesn't comply, he will take her in. Mitsuha calmly responds, telling him to return to the shop at the same time the following day, as her business partner will be there to meet him. After Nelson leaves, Sabine rushes into the store, and Mitsuha looks at her fondly. Sabine eagerly approaches Mitsuha and asks her to play the DVD. Mitsuha recalls the time when Sabine first saw the DVD, and since then, she's been asking Mitsuha to dub the anime on it. Mitsuha writes a letter explaining her situation and asks Sabine to deliver it to the chancellor. The next day, while Sabine and Mitsuha are having fun in the store, Nelson Adler storms in and slams the agreement paper down in front of Mitsuha. Mitsuha's plan goes smoothly, as Nelson even offers to take custody of Sabine. At the dramatic moment, the chancellor enters the store and demands an explanation. Mitsuha calmly explains the situation, and the chancellor warns Nelson about his actions. Just when Nelson thinks the scolding is over, the chancellor drops a bombshell. He cancels Nelson's trading permits for attempting to take custody of the king's daughter. Nelson looks at the girls, fear creeping into his eyes, as he realized the gravity of his mistake. He had indeed tried to make a wrong move with the princess. With that, the threat to Mitsuha's store is finally gone. Meanwhile, the king and his chancellor discuss Mitsuha's skills and abilities, thoroughly impressed by how she managed to take down both the human trafficking ring and the coercive actions of the Adler group. Back at the store, Mitsuha and Sabine are enjoying their time together, watching the DVD. Just as they're having fun, a customer enters the shop. Sabine glares at them menacingly, and once the customer leaves, she complains about the number of visitors to the store. Mitsuha reassures her, explaining that as the number of customers grows, it will only benefit the store more. As they continue talking, a girl enters the shop and asks for Mitsuha's help. The door of the store opens, revealing a worried girl who asks Mitsuha for help. She requests her consultancy services, and Mitsuha feels this is her lucky break since she hasn't been able to earn profits from her consultancy services so far. The girl introduces herself as Alina and explains her problem to Mitsuha and Sabine, who are jotting down notes carefully. It turns out that Alina is the daughter of the owner of Paradise Restaurant. She explains that her father's business had been going well until one day when the son of a nobleman confessed his feelings to her. Since Alina had feelings for an apprentice chef, Ano, in her restaurant, she rejected the nobleman's son. The boy didn't take the rejection well, and with the help of his father, began interfering in her family's business. The evil man devised a plan to financially weaken Alina's family and force her to accept his proposal. He bribed the chefs at Paradise Restaurant and even beat up Alina's father to stop the restaurant's operations. Mitsuha decides to help the girl and starts devising a plan. She prepares a signboard that reads, "Re-establishment of Paradise Restaurant." Mitsuha meets Alina's family, burn Alina's father, disagrees with Mitsuha's suggestion to reopen the restaurant. He tells her that there's no way Anel, who is just an apprentice, can take on the role of head chef, but Mitsuha encourages him to trust her and takes responsibility for teaching them the necessary cooking skills. Mitsuha knows that cooking skills alone won't be enough to run the restaurant efficiently, so she uses another clever method to deal with the situation. She purposely spreads rumors that Paradise Restaurant is offering exquisite Yamano cuisine. The rumor spreads like wildfire, and the restaurant is flooded with customers, making Mitsuha happy with the outcome. She even hires Grit and Ilsa to help out around the restaurant. The restaurant runs smoothly with Anel and Alina working together in the kitchen while the girls help with serving. Even Sabine takes up the job of serving meals to customers and enjoys helping out around the restaurant. Just as everything seems to be running smoothly, the evil restaurant owner arrives with royal guards and accuses Byrne of deceiving customers at his restaurant. He claims that the Yamano cuisine being served is not authentic and reveals that he has brought the real Yamano cuisine chef with him. He turns around and the head chef of the Viscount household steps forward. The chef announces that he can only confirm the food's authenticity after tasting it. He is served with the restaurant's best-selling dishes and quickly begins tasting them. Upon tasting, he immediately recognizes the flavors and starts to tear up. After Mitsuha reveals herself, the head chef complains to her, saying she never taught him these dishes and calls her coach in front of the restaurant owner. The evil restaurant owner stands there, stunned, as Beatrice and her entire family enter the restaurant. Both the restaurant owner and Baron are still in shock when the king makes his grand entrance and asks about his daughters. It is then that the restaurant owner realizes one of the waitresses is the real princess and understands that he has dug his own grave. He stands there in shock when Mitsuha quickly points out that there have been ruffians disturbing the restaurant's functioning and demands the guards investigate. The guards understand her message and arrest the evil restaurant owner and his son for their wrongdoing. Another day passes, and Mitsuha continues to bring joy to others. Alina promptly reminds Mitsuha of her true mission, getting her match with Anel, which Mitsuha successfully accomplishes. That night, Mitsuha sits on her rooftop, looking at the gold coin she just earned, feeling content with her work. She suddenly wonders how her friend Colette is doing and decides to write her a letter. The letter reaches Colette, who happily hugs it, while her parents worry about the monsters at the border, which had delayed the delivery of Mitsuha's letter. Episode 10. Mitsuha stands in front of the huge pile of packages and wonders what she is going to do with them, since she bought them at a cheap price, but the mystic world still hasn't invented gunpowder. She then gets a message from her captain and becomes happy that they are having a BBQ party. She excitedly hunts the mystic rabbits and brings them. They cook the meat and relish it together. The captain tells her that they are in a tough spot. Mitsuha looks over at all her friends, who are trained fighters in reality, but look like normal people at a party. Mitsuha returns to her world and waits for customers. She feels bored and worries about her sales. The shop's door opens and Sven asks what they need from the store. Both of them ask for different things at the same time, and Mitsuha suggests that they can buy both at once, but they inform her that it would get them off their budget. She uses her brain and offers them a new discount on her products. She offers them the products at a lower price if they bring others with them. They both promise to bring their whole guild with them, selling her products to the whole guild. The king, who had asked the chancellor to run a background check on Mitsuha, learns that she had suddenly family, leading her to open her store in the town. The king and chancellor once again praise Mitsuha for saving the princess's life and helping to put a stop to the human trafficking ring. The chancellor then changes the topic and points out that they should pay more attention to the current issue, which to discuss the king's room, where the king informs her about the war. He asks Mitsuha for a favor, requesting that she help take Sabine away from the kingdom to safety. Mitsuha refuses, letting him know that she won't be abandoning her shop, and leaves. The king admires her determination and accepts her decision. On the other hand, Mitsuha stands inside her store, worried about the war council room. Mitsuha sits next to Alex and listens to the current war conditions. Suddenly, the discussion room is disrupted by an intruder who pretends to be a messenger, arrows without thinking. And just as the arrows are about to impale her, Alex jumps in the way to save her. The arrows impale Alex in critical points, and Mitsuha takes out her rifle and shoots the intruder, killing him on the spot. She quickly checks on Alex and sees that he is heavily injured and announces that she is no longer going to be nice and careful anymore. She declares that she is going to be serious about this battle now. However, the problem that lies before her is the lack of troops and asking for 40,000 gold coins to assist her in the war against monsters. Knowing it won't be so easy to convince him, Mitsuha decides to show the captain the other world. She gets them to the other world, and the captain is shocked to see this new place. Mitsuha shows him around and understands the situation. They are still driving when they approach a tunnel and decide to cross it on foot. While in the situation 11, the duo is trapped in the cave with the goblins. The captain asks Mitsuha how much ammo she has left, and she informs him that they can last for about 3 minutes. Mitsuha then asks her captain if he's willing to help her with the impending war, and he agrees. The next day, the Wolfgang soldiers prepare for war. Mitsuha delivers an emotional and heartfelt speech, transports the entire army to the other world, appearing in the castle courtyard. The king and his court rush out to see the spectacle of Mitsuha's assembled forces. She declares her intention to take charge of the war, actually positioning them at key locations. At the kingdom's gates, Mitsuha and her army confront the enemy head-on. Employing clever strategies, she soldiers, causing chaos in the enemy's troops. She further ordered the sniper to shoot the soldiers who were assigned to each group of monsters, to cause the monsters to lose their trust in the enemy line. It was pretty evident that Mitsuha clearly had the upper hand in the war, as the enemy's commander saw their defeat in front of them. Suddenly, a trooper gets worried about the monsters and is still thinking of a method when her captain tells her to leave everything. It was an actual piece of war machinery to defeat these monsters, and within a few minutes, all proof that the monster army was no match for Mitsuha's modern technology. Just as Mitsuha was about to celebrate their win, the noise stands in front of her troop, a dragon baring its teeth, standing in her way as she looks at it, terrified. Episode 12. Mitsuha looks at the dragon, terrified by its enormous size and army toward the kingdom. Taking matters into his own hands, the dragon flies to the kingdom's gate. Mitsuha signals the wolf gang to fire smoke bombs at the dragon and uses a holographic projector to create the illusion of a massive figure, equal in size to the dragon, standing before it. She pretends to be a goddess threatening. Mitsuha escalates to a machine gun assault, which successfully injures the dragon. In retaliation, the dragon forms a magical shield around itself. The dragon's attack, she transports herself in front of its open mouth. As the dragon prepares, it's causing the dragon to lose a tooth and flee the battlefield, terrified and defeated. Mitsuha's army rejoices in their hard-fought victory as the monster army retreats from the battlefield. Critical contribution to the kingdom's survival. Meanwhile, the captain takes the dragon's fang with him to Earth, where he sells it for an astonishingly high profit. Back at the castle, Mitsuha is warmly greeted by a cheerful Sabine, overjoyed at her safe return. Shortly after, Mitsuha is invited to a royal meeting, where the heroes are honored for their service and bravery. It is during this ceremony that Mitsuha remembers her promise to pay the captain 40,000 gold coins. Ever resourceful, Mitsuha devises a cunning plan to gather the funds. Spinning a fabricated yet convincing tale, she persuades the nobles and the king to provide her with a substantial amount of gold. With her newly acquired wealth, she settles her debt with the captain, fulfilling her promise. With the gold matter resolved, King graciously agrees and arranges a formal ceremony to grant her official status. On the day of the ceremony, Mitsuha, relieved to have settled matters, Mitsuha returns to meet Colette and shares the news of her newfound status as a noble. Colette's demeanor shifts suddenly. With her parents' approval, Colette happily agrees and sets off with Mitsuha to start a new chapter of her life. In no time, Mitsuha establishes With her store back in operation, Mitsuha sets her sights on her ultimate goal. She resolves to take on whatever challenges come next. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the recap, give us a thumbs up and subscribe for more. Share your thoughts in the comments and stay tuned for our next video.